Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lorna Rivero. I'm Assistant Vice President of Sales for the National Apartment Association. Thank you for joining us. The National Apartment Association and the National Suppliers Council have recognized the importance of providing valuable tools and different education programs to all of the suppliers and exhibitors for our shows and for the industry in general. So we went out and did some research, found expert Jefferson Davis with Competitive Edge, who will help us throughout the next few months while we get to the Education Conference and provide different tools on marketing and other things that we need to prepare everyone for the show. Jefferson, if you could go to the next slide. We created the Online Exhibitor Success and ROI Center, and hopefully you'll copy the link on the bottom of the page and bookmark it and share it amongst yourselves. We'll also be recording this webinar and posting it on that resource center. Throughout the next few months, we'll have 2 webcasts, 3 exhibiting e-courses, 8 how-to exhibiting articles, and those are already up on the center. And you can always email or contact Jefferson, ask to him, since he's the trade show expert that we've hired, any questions that you have, any concerns regarding exhibiting either at our shows or in general. And there's a snapshot of the Exhibitor Resource Center, so you become familiar with that.
All right, thank you, Lorna, and thank you to everybody who's taken time out of your busy schedule to log in to this first live webcast. On behalf of everyone at the National Apartment Association, I want to welcome you to State-of-the-Art Exhibit Marketing. What we're going to do in a very short period here is walk you through a proven process. It's an 8-step process that will help you identify and attract enough of the right attendees to your exhibit. Again, my name is Jefferson Davis. I'll be your guide through this event. And my background, some of you may be familiar with me. I've been around the industry about 25 years. I'm a trainer, consultant, educator, author. Like you as an exhibitor, I've personally been involved in the execution of over 200 shows. For me, trade shows have always been about results. They have never been a place where we just show up, fly the flag, pass out some business cards, and go home. And I'm somewhat of a self-admitted trade show junkie in that since 1989, I've been intensely researching everything I can find on marketing, sales, and trade shows, and developing processes. I'm a big believer in business today that everything we do can be boiled down to a process. And the more we create processes that include best practices that are replicable, we can use them over and over and over, the better we're going to be at this game of exhibiting. One of my claims to fame is that I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of companies as a consultant trainer, and combined we've been able to trace over $500 million from our trade show programs. So this stuff works. So buckle your seat and get ready to go here. If any of you want to talk to me, you see my 800 number, my email address, my website. We'd love to hear from you. Now, as I mentioned before we get started, hopefully you've downloaded your e-workbook and you're ready to go. So what we're going to do in this short time together is this would be the equivalent of almost a full-day workshop. But we're going to really tear you through 4 specific outcomes or objectives. First, we're going to talk a little bit about trade show attendees, and we're going to talk how their behaviors have changed over the last several years and why you can no longer just rent space, show up, and hope that they find you. Second, as I mentioned, we're going to walk you through this proven 8-step process. I'm going to have you do some exercises as we go along, kind of get a jump on this, and I'll give you some assignments on things to do between now and showtime to make sure you're doing the right things. We'll take a quick look at the resources that are available from NAA in terms of marketing ops. And then finally, I'll wrap this up showing you an actual example of what a state-of-the-art campaign looks like in action. And I'll kind of show you for 2 different sizes of exhibitors within this show what a show-specific campaign would look like. So again, thank you so much for logging in. I know your time's priceless, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first thing, what I want to ask is a poll. So you're going to see in a moment here, you're going to see a poll come up on your screen. And the question is this: what do you believe most determines the success of your exhibit? I want you to click the radio dial that applies. Number one, do you think it's your location on the show floor, where you are on the floor? Do you think it's how big and impressive your booth is? Do you think it's the reputation of your company? Do you think it's the quality of your products and services? Or do you think it's your marketing efforts to attract attendees to your exhibit? So everybody, go ahead and do this right now. I cannot see your individual responses, so go ahead and kind of click whatever makes sense. And be honest here, be straightforward, and click the response that you feel best represents how you feel about this. So we've got about 2/3 of the audience is in. Wow, you guys are doing great. A little more, a little more. We're over 80%. Those of you who haven't clicked the poll yet, if you haven't, go ahead and do so now. I can't see you, but we're at 85%. I'm going to give you just a second to get a few more here. Okay. All right, we're up to about 90%. So let's take a look at what you as a group feel most determines your success. Here we go. 10% of you felt that it was where you're located on the show floor. I want to speak to show location for a minute here. Exhibit surveys, if you're not familiar with them and you're a trade show, in this game to win, you want to know about this company. They're called Exhibit Surveys. Since 1963, they're truly the research scientists of our industry. And they've done dozens of quantitative and qualitative studies. And their studies point to a single fact. They can make no direct correlation between your location on the show floor and the ultimate success of your exhibit. Okay, so for those of you that feel that location is the key, I'm sorry to say the research is validating that location is not a make or break issue. None of you said size, which is cool. The reputation of your company. Yeah, that's an important factor, but I don't know if it's the most important. The quality of your product services, that's an important factor. And 77% of you said it was your marketing efforts to attract the right attendees. And that's really, number 5 would be the correct answer here. Now again, having a good quality product service, you got to have that today to compete. Having a good company reputation, you got to have that to win the business. But it's really this number 5, this marketing, that's going to be the real determining factor. And I say that because 20 years as a consultant trainer, many times, a lot of my turnarounds where we've worked with companies and helped them turn these things around, this piece, when we get enough of the right people to our exhibit, seems to be the turning point, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into content here. Now, I'll start off here with a humorous slide here talking about attendee behaviors. So this comes from the Dilbert and Dogbert series. And interestingly enough, they have a whole little set of strips about trade shows. So the guy walks in the booth and he says, "Hey, what kind of free stuff you got?" "Oh, cheap pens? Well, that's original. Fill her up." But can't give you any eye contact. So he's kind of over here. That's enough research for today. It's time for him to hit the buffet. Okay, now, is this the kind of attendee that we want walking into our booth, the trick-or-treater, so to speak? You can see he's got his bag out. Might as well just put a mask over his face, right? Because it's pretty much what's going on here. Now, here's the thing. If we don't do a good targeted pre-show marketing campaign and we rely solely on our exhibit and maybe our giveaways, this is the kind of people that we're going to end up most in our booth, and it's not what you want, okay? So how do you get around that, okay? The behaviors have changed. The first thing is that you understand trade show attendee behaviors have changed radically, especially since post 9/11. I'm going to share some changes right now, and these are in your workbook, okay? So here we go. Number 1, the average attendee is spending fewer days at the show. They've chopped 1 full day off of their time at show. Now, this does not mean that they don't value shows. In fact, the research is telling us they value shows more than ever. But what it does mean, like you, me, and everyone else, they're more time impoverished and they're under more pressure. They have less time to spend away from the office, okay? The second trend we're seeing, which is actually really good for us as exhibitors, is that they tend to be sending higher level personnel. The days of just sending whoever's around available to go to the show because they got nothing better to do and they're going to go hang out for 3 days are gone, okay? What we're finding is that we've got a better prepared attendee that's coming with the show looking for solutions to problems, looking for newer, better, faster, cheaper, safer, more productive ways of doing things. They want to know what the trends are in the industry. They want to benchmark how their current operations and practices compare to what's available. And so they're sending a higher level personnel. That's exciting news, okay? Third, this is a big one. We're finding that 3 out of 4 attendees today are arriving with an agenda of what exhibitors they plan to visit. You know, they've already got a show agenda about what sessions they're going to attend, where their blocks of time on the exhibit floor are going to be, and who they're going to visit. This next one might surprise you, but it's very important that you understand this. The average attendee will stop and enter about 26 to 31 exhibits on average during their trip to the show. I'm going to let that one sink in for a minute here, okay? When you think about that and you start to see this next point, that half of these exhibit stops are pre-planned. They've already decided, I'm going to go see this exhibitor to learn about this, to ask questions about this, to talk about this problem, to facilitate this buying evaluation, to make this buying decision. Half of the stops are pre-planned. And in spite of all this is really exciting news for those of you that took time to log in today. Less than 20% of exhibitors are executing a well-conceived exhibit marketing plan. I'm telling you factually that 8 out of 10 exhibitors in B2B trade shows are renting space, showing up, and hoping. They're hoping that enough people get to the show. They're hoping they get on the exhibit floor. They're hoping they pass their booth. They're hoping they stop, okay? You being here today do not want to play the game that way. If you want to make an expensive appearance and leave your money on the floor, then use the exhibiting by hope strategy. But I know you don't because you're here today. There's a lot of exhibitors who aren't here today. So you get tremendous competitive advantage over those companies that don't understand what we're talking about here today, okay? So how do we get the right people to booth? What's the process we use? I'm going to walk you through here, and I'm going to have you do a few quick exercises, an 8-step planning process. We call this a state-of-the-art exhibit marketing campaign because it also leverages and integrates some of the emerging media, and this is as good as it gets right now. And I promise you, if you take this plan and adapt it and apply it and use as much of this as you can for the upcoming show, the question is not, are you going to be successful? The question is, how successful are you going to be? And I know they sound like the same question. I'm telling you, they're light years apart. So rather than detail these 8, I'm just going to jump right in and get started on them, okay? Let's go to step number 1 here. It all begins with your goals. People ask me, they go, Jefferson, how do I turn a trade show around from an expensive appearance to a profitable, productive investment? My answer is begin at the beginning. Why are you exhibiting? What are you trying to accomplish? Okay? So if I were to ask you, hey, why are you exhibiting? What would you write down as your top 3 reasons or goals? Go ahead and take a look at that. And go ahead and jot those in your workbook. There's space to do that. Someone says, hey, why are we exhibiting? What would it be? Is it about awareness and visibility? You have a new product, new service you're trying to introduce? Is it about relationship building and management? Customers, prospects, channel partners, key opinion leaders? Who? Is it about positioning or differentiating your company brand or products? Is it about generating leads that lead to sales and business development for you? Is it about thought leadership? Or what? There's so much that you can get done at the show, but you've got to start at the beginning and go, why are we exhibiting? Now, this is going to drive your strategy. It's going to drive everything. But what it's also going to do is help you in your selection of marketing media. Because as you'll see as we work through this event, certain media support certain objectives better than others. So your first step is get crystal clear on what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, and if you do not have your top 3 goals clarified, that is your first takeaway from this event. Step number 1. Let's go to step number 2. Okay, now, you see that picture up on the right of the screen of that busy exhibit floor? And you see all those people on that floor? Okay, well, here's the reality. Here's the truth. Not all of those people are your ideal prospect. So the question that you're going to ask in step 2 is this: who do we define as our ideal visitor profile? Okay, so I'm going to give you some things to think about here. Okay, first of all, start with the type of company. Okay, we're talking about the apartment rental community, and so the type will fall into 2 major buckets. You have your independent rental owners who own 1 or more buildings with multiple units, and then you've got kind of your corporate owned, okay, that are owned by a corporation that may own 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 properties with thousands of units. Maybe you market to both, okay, and if you do, then that would be your profile. Next, within the rental market, you've kind of got 3 niches, if you will. You've got the student housing niche, you've got the affordable housing niche, and then you've got the residential housing niche. So does that play a role in how you profile? If it does, okay, make sure you focus on that. Okay, then the primary business, okay, apartment owner, apartment manager, developer, asset manager, it's a leasing company. Then you've got your job functions or titles. Now let me talk to job function and titles for a moment here, okay, because there's a problem that a lot of us have when we market. We say we only want the decision maker. Well, the reality is in any purchase, especially a complex purchase, there's typically users, influencers, specifiers, recommenders, and decision makers. You may have up to 5 different hats being worn. And when you narrow your job function or titles too much by saying, well, we only want the person that makes the final decision, that person may or may not actually, you think they make the decision, but I tell you, it might be the maintenance manager or professional who is dealing with the issue and has the most input, and then they're just getting final approval. So broaden your scope on job functions and titles, okay? Now, size might play a role for you. For example, you might not be physically able to handle a large corporate that has 100 properties with 400 units per property, okay? So think about that. Does size play a role? Geography might play a role for you. You might be in the western states, and the reality is only be looking for business west of the Rockies, or maybe even in just California. So how does that factor into your ideal visitor profile? And other, I'll leave that open to kind of say anything else. What I'm asking you to do in step 2 here is create a crystal clear picture of who you're defining as your ideal visitor. You're now answering the question, who are the right people? Okay? So that's your step 2, first part of your step 2 action item here. Okay? Now, once you do that, there's going to be many uses for your profile. But here's the follow-up question. When you can set and look at your ideal visitor profile, I'm going to ask you to ask a really important question. Related to your products, related to your services, what are their needs, issues, concerns, top of the mind concerns, frustrations, problems, bottlenecks, okay? Because this is going to kind of, now that you say, here's who, you're going to say, how can I get their attention? You're going to get their attention by understanding clearly needs, issues, and top-of-the-mind concerns, because in your marketing messaging, you're going to dangle these needs, issues, top-of-the-mind concerns, okay? So step 2, let's get clear on who we're targeting and what their issues are relative to us, okay? So we're moving along quickly here. Step 3, this is a really cool piece of profiling. I developed this about 10 years ago. I'm telling you, this single strategy has brought well over $300 million of business into my client companies. And here's what we call it, the customer, prospect, suspect triangle. Now let me explain it. The base of the triangle is red, and in your workbook you'll see space to catch this. So write it down, okay? And I have that in red for a reason. Here's why. You should never go into a key trade show like the NAA Conference and Exposition without reaching out, touching, and inviting your customers that are relative to this marketplace, okay? There's 4 reasons why you want to be touching them around this time period. Number 1, relationship management. It's another touch in the relationship. Second, probe for additional opportunity. See, some of you might have customers who your products or services are only being used in a quarter or a half or a third of the number, so you've got a cross-sell or an upsell opportunity. Number 3, change. I tell you, what someone will tell you at a trade show, on a trade show floor, in a hotel lobby, at a hotel bar, will be radically different than what they'll tell you at their office and on the phone. So keeping your ears to the ground for change. Who's coming? Who's going? What if in one of your key customer accounts, your advocate, your champion, is getting ready to retire or move to another company? And what if you don't know that that's happening? And what if you used the show to find that out? How much value would that be to you to learn that, okay? You don't want to get blindsided. I've seen many, many clients lose big accounts when their champion or advocate inside the account leaves. So sometimes you'll hear these kind of things buzzing around the show floor, or maybe even, like I said, maybe it's at a reception. I've got an old trade show saying, it's a little humorous, but everything changes after a glass of wine or two. And what people will tell you is radically different. Advocacy, number 4. I'll bet my bottom dollar that every single one of you listening here today has clients that love what you do and how you do it. Now, if you're not using them as an advocate around shows, I'm going to ask the million-dollar question. Why not? Okay? So you got 4 very powerful reasons to reach out and touch your customers and invite them to the show. But I can hear some of your brains are ticking right now. But Jefferson, I don't want to invite my customers to the show. And I ask, why not? You say, well, because my competition is going to be there. Well, let me speak to that. If your customer ends up at the show as the result of an invitation from a competitor, and you did nothing to communicate in the weeks leading up to showtime, now you got problems. You got to know today that customers and buyers are using trade shows to revalidate existing buying relationships. Okay? So I have this in red because it's blank, 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 red. Do not miss this, okay? Now, you guys want to know where the quick cash? I'm telling you, money that can come into your businesses within, sometimes by closing time, typically within 2, 3, 4 weeks after the show. It's on that green side, and that prospects. I define a prospect as you're already in the sales cycle with them. You're talking about doing a job, a business, or a project. Now, you have one reason to get them to the show. Move them to the next step. Answer one more question. Resolve one more issue. Demonstrate one more capability. Meet and develop rapport with one more decision maker, influencer. Close the deal. I have a client that manufactures machine tools, okay, that are used in manufacturing. Average price of these machine tools, $350,000. By using the prospect strategy, we went into a show with them. They got prospects to the booth. They signed deals on the floor for 6 machine tools. Take 350,000 times 6 and do the math. You'll see that they paid for their show 3 times over by closing time. Now, this was always lying there, but the problem was no one was taking advantage of it. The sales reps were viewing the trade show as a speed bump. You're taking me out of my territory. You're dropping me in the, in this cold, hard floor. You're going to make me talk to looky-loos, tire kickers, time wasters. No, let's use the show to full advantage. Prospects. Now, final group, suspects. Now, I have that in blue, cold, because they are cold. But a suspect is a profile match, back to this first part of this step, but that you have no meaningful dialogue or communication with. So your strategy, your objective is get a foot in the door. Okay? Now, how do you take something like this, the CPS triangle? I'll tell you exactly what to do with it. Require everybody in your company that sells to submit a list of X number, 5, 10, whatever is appropriate, X number of customers, X number of prospects, X number of suspect accounts. Require them to submit that list 6 to 8 weeks before showtime. Second, require them to have a minimum of 3 to 4 contacts with each name on that list. Also ask them for the customers to set an objective for the meeting, for the prospects to identify what is the next step in the sales cycle. This strategy, I'm telling you, has pulled tens of hundreds of millions of dollars off the floor, and it's easy to run. Very few companies do it. You know what? If I quit this webcast now and said, I'm not telling you anything else, and you ran and only did this, I'm telling you, you'd be on your way to one of your most successful shows ever. Okay? Now, if you want to kick this off, consider a contest. Consider setting up the rep that gets the highest number of customers, prospects, suspects to the booth, win something. What a cool way to get focus, get excitement, get accountability. See, you don't want to rent space, show up, and just hope, okay? So you're going to identify who are the right people and what can we do to get with them. So step number 2 helps you address this. Step number 3, okay, I want to make a very strong and firm statement here. You have a limited and finite amount of capacity to interact with people at the show. Have you ever thought of it that way? A lot of us go into a show and you know, we have this vision. We can just talk to everybody. You know, we talk to thousands of people. The truth is you can't. You don't have the capacity. This exercise is you are going to love this exercise. I'm going to have you physically do it with me now. Please use your numbers, not mine. And I'm going to explain it step by step. Here we go. Okay. The NNA show has 8 exhibiting hours. The exhibit floor is open 8 hours. Write that down in your workbook. Okay. Second, how many people, here's the question, how many people are going to staff your booth, are going to be in your booth consistently for all 8 hours? In my example, 4. Okay. Now, let me talk about staffing here. Don't overstaff. Don't understaff. The rule of thumb, 50 square feet per exhibit staffer. So in this example, I've got a 10 by 20 inline booth. I have the capacity for about 4 full-time staffers. Excuse me. Now, multiply the 2 numbers together, and you will have your total staff hours. In this example, it's 32. That is your capacity for what? Face-to-face, one-to-one interaction in your booth. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, now the process, and stay with me on this, because when you get this formula, you literally have the keys to the vault. Here we go, this next piece, conservative. Please write that word in your workbook. Conservative number of interactions per hour per staffer. Okay, now you want to start in the 3 to 5 interactions per hour per staffer. The average interaction in a booth is 3 to 7 minutes. So I can make a case for 8 to 20 interactions per hour per staffer, but I'm not going to. I'm going to tell you on 20 years on the floor in the trenches experience that 3 on the conservative end, 4 in the moderate end, 5 on the not super aggressive, but maybe a little, 3 to 5 interactions per hour per staffer is doable at almost any and every show that I've been at in my 20-year history. Actually, I've been doing shows since '85, so that side of it is much longer, 26. Hard to believe, 26 years now. Now, so here we go. 32 times 4 gives me the capacity for 128 interactions. Please run your formula right now, and I'm going to pause and just give you a moment. Now, once you have the number, what is this telling you? Okay, your job between now and showtime, if you want to be a world-class exhibitor, one that gets a tremendous ROI, your job between now and showtime is to identify and attract at least 128 of the right people. Now, the question, so you've answered the question, how many? In the previous, on step 2, when I had your profile, who are the right people? Customer, prospect, suspect, profile match. Are you following me? Are you tracking on this system? I'm telling you, this is a scientific approach to exhibiting that is, it absolutely works. These numbers are scary when you do it right. From this thing, I can set lead goals, I can set proposal goals, I can set closure goals, I can set sales goals. I can take this one formula and drill. I can actually work with you one-on-one, show you exactly what the financial value of this show is to you if you do it right. But if you've got this formula, you have got the piece of the puzzle very few exhibitors understand. You don't care if the show has 2,000 attendees, 5,000 attendees, 20,000 attendees, 100,000 attendees. You don't care. Why? You can't handle that many. How many can you handle? This is what you can handle. So what you want to do is make sure that you walk into that venue with as much of that capacity spoken for before you ever get there. I'm telling you, this will put you in the top 5% of exhibitors, not only in the country, but in the world, okay? So this is a heavy-duty strategy here. Okay, now I know some of you are starting to get questions at this point. It's kind of bubbling up. So again, at any moment during this webcast, a question flashes in your mind, okay? Type that. Press send. There's only one dumb question in today's webcast, and here it is. It's the one you want to ask. It's the one that you need to ask. It's the one that you don't ask, okay? So at any moment, fire away. And when we get to question pump prime, you're going to see how much more all of us get out of this as we start bringing that engaged. So fire away with questions the minute they hit. Whew, let me catch my breath here. This is exciting stuff, man. We're 3 steps into this. We got 5 to go, and let's keep rolling here for the sake of time. Now, I'm going to lead off with my second poll of the event here, okay? We need to be taking a percentage of our exhibit marketing budget, and we need to allocate it to this function of marketing. So the poll is going to come live right now. What percent of your total show budget do you allocate toward marketing your exhibit? Please click the radio dial button that applies to you. Everybody do this now. Fastest fingers. All right, we're going all over the chart here. Good. You guys are on it. You're engaged. We've got all 80% of you in so far. Keep going, everybody. This is going to be great to see where we stand as a group here, okay? We've got about 85% in, and those of you who haven't, if you're looking at emails or if you're reading a book or something, get back with me here. This is important stuff. Wow, 95%. Awesome. Let's publish this, and let's take a look at what's happening here. Here we go. Okay. 18% of you are allocating 0. For those of you allocating 0, I'm going to send you back to the changing attendee behaviors. You're going to realize that's a mistake, okay? And I know you say, shows are expensive. Well, as you tune into this entire program, not just this one, but what's on the web, and you learn to calculate your cost per interaction, you're going to realize trade shows are actually one of your most inexpensive media when they're done properly, okay? Now, 26% of you are 15% plus. Let me show you the next slide here, okay? And the rest of you are in the middle. It looks like most of us are in that 1 to 5% range. Okay, here comes a slide. I'm going to show you right now where the dollar goes. And I want you to look at the orange slice of the pie, the promotion marketing. This is telling us, 2008 study, the most recent I could find, is telling us the average. Let me say that word again. The average exhibitor is allocating 7.5% to marketing their exhibit. Let that sink in for a moment. Compare that number to what you were budgeting. Now, let me tell you a success secret I learned years ago, which has served me and my clients really well. Here it is. Find out what the average is doing and don't do it. The average exhibitor is not successful. I'm telling you, 90% of exhibitors make expensive appearances, okay? Don't hang out with that group, okay? Hang out with the winners, right? So here's what I'm going to suggest, that you find out what the average is doing and don't do it, 7.5%. I'm going to suggest, and those of you, by the way, at the 15% plus, kudos. You are right where you need to be. Now, everybody listening, exercise in your workbook. Here we go. Jot down your total show budget. Multiply it by 0.15. Compare that to what your current budget is. Hey, and if you're over that, cool, no worries. But if you're under that, I'm telling you, you're going to want to step up your budgeting. Sometimes I've had clients go as high as 20, 25%. And let me explain why. You might say, Jefferson, where are you going with all this? Well, let me go back to the other slide. Here we go. Watch this. Previous slide, 1 second. Okay. You see all these expense areas here? 31% to the space, 11% to the exhibit, 20% to show services, 11% to shipping, 15% to T&E, and 5% to other. You see all those other areas? If you do not get enough of the right people to your exhibit, I will flat out guarantee you that all of those areas end up as an expense. I will flip this another way and say that if you get enough of the right people to your exhibit, I will guarantee you that all those other areas end up as an investment, okay? Because again, the single biggest limiting factor for most exhibitors is their inability to get enough of the right people and you're going to hear those words over and over with me, enough of the right people to their exhibit, okay? You do that, I'm telling you, you're halfway to success. You don't. I don't care how big and pretty your booth is. I don't care how great your company is. I don't care how great your products are. If you stand around for 3 days looking at one another, talking to one another, watching the moving parade of life go by in the aisles, you will fail at trade shows, period. Okay? Nothing else to say on that. On the contrary. So some of you are saying, Jefferson, I hear you, man. I'm with you. But it's my boss. Well, you know what I want you to do with your boss, okay? I want you to take your workbook to your boss. I want you to take this chart to your boss. I want you to take the amount that you're presenting to your boss and show him or her. And if they don't believe me, have them log into the replay of this webcast. This is serious business, okay? I want you to succeed. My passion in life is I get no greater joy than when I work with a company and turn these things around. You know, I've worked with small companies that are spending $15,000 on a show and getting nothing back, and in one show cycle, move them to $250,000 back. I've worked with a medium-sized company dropping $75,000 on a show, getting nothing back in one show cycle, $3.2 million within 90 days of closing time. This is exciting stuff, man, and you know what, if you got a passion for it and you're willing to play this game at a high level. So your exercise here, step 4, budget enough resources to do it right, okay? Now, let's move to step 5, lists, okay? Now we're going to start building up the who, you know, who are the people. In step 5, your best list sources, okay? First and foremost are the pre-registered and the previous or post. Now, this is really cool. The National Apartment Association is unique. You know, a lot of shows, I just was online with a show this morning that charges their exhibitors $600 for the attendee list. Guess how much it costs through NAA? Zilch, zero, nothing. Free. Doesn't get any easier than free. This would be a good list to start with, okay? And what you want to do is drill that list down to what? Your profile match, if you can, okay? Then go to your company database. What? Customer prospect suspect list. Then look at previous show. Were you in this show last year? You got leads from it? Use them. How about recent inquiries? Anybody that's contacted your company over the last 90, 180 days. Do you sell through distribution channels, reps, dealers, distributors, resellers? How about having them submit lists? What about trade publication readership lists? Do you have certain publications that you know that your audience is reading? How about your customers? Do they read a certain pub? Ask them. They'll tell you. If they do, would you want to use that list? In step 5, what you're going to do here is you're going to assemble a variety of list sources, merge them together, and success tip at the bottom. Make your list at least 3 to 5 times your exhibit interaction capacity, which you ran moments ago. You with me on that? Okay, that's step 5. Okay, so this would be a time here to go ahead if you have questions that are flashing into your mind. Okay, this would be a good time here to submit any questions that are coming up. For the sake of time, I'm going to keep rolling to cover the rest of this and then physically take your questions. But again, fire away. All right, let's keep moving. Step 6. We only have 3 steps to go, and we'll get through them very quickly here. Analyze and select marketing media. There's so much stuff that you can use to market your exhibit. So how do you go through this? Okay, now first and foremost, understand the 5 C's to marketing success. People ask me all the time, they go, Jefferson, what is the best media for marketing your exhibit? My answer is consistent. There is no single best media. The answer is in the mix. A combination of show-specific media, industry-specific media, and direct marketing media. Magic is in the mix. Next, a captivating message. You have to interrupt people with your message, grab their attention, make them want to know more. And a consistent design theme. Make sure that the messaging, the imagery, the font treatment, the colors, make sure that it is consistent throughout all of your marketing media and your exhibit. Next, there are only 4 messages you need to communicate in this through any of these media: what you do, why they should care, who you are, where, and how to find you. The purpose of your pre-marketing campaign is not to tell your whole story. The purpose is to grab their attention and make them want to know more. Where do they learn more at? At your booth at the show. Okay? Frequency. This is a big point here. Please listen to this one. 3 direct hits leading up to showtime. Okay, so you're trying to select a combination of media. And then number 5, what will help increase the response to your campaign is a creative reward for responding. So let me talk reward strategies here quickly. There's 5 reward strategies you could be applying, one or a combination of. Have a drawing or a contest. Bring this card by the booth. Mention this ad at the booth. Mention this email at the booth for a chance to win something. Next, free gift at booth. Bring this by. We got something for you. Send something up front. Hey, as our way of saying thanks in advance. Here you go. Number 4, my favorite, send them half of something. The other half is at the booth. Hey, we want to see you at the show to talk about this or that. Oh, by the way, here's this. The other half's at the booth. Number 5, if you really want to get visibility, top of the mind awareness, become a known entity, send something before the show with the invitation. Give them the other half for companion at the booth. Send something after. Okay? Deep topic. We could go really long on it, but we're going to short of time, so I'm going to keep moving. Add a reward strategy to your campaign. Okay. Number 6, your marketing media. When you look at all the stuff available, you're going to look at 5 things at least. What are my show goals? What is my budget? What are my capabilities to produce marketing in this media? Okay, sometimes we need help. What is the timing? When do these media fall, or when do they become visible around the show? And finally, knowing my audience. What media do they pay attention to, and what form of messages or offers are they most likely respond to? So these are 5 things you're going to want to think about as you're beginning to analyze and select what media you're going to use. Excuse me. So here's your 5 buckets. These are the 5 media options, big bucket options, if you will. Number 1, print and display advertising. You have show-specific stuff, and you have industry-specific. Then you've got PR, media and public relations. So you're going to want to get your hands on a media contact list. You're going to want to send press releases or kits to the media. You're going to want to bring press release or kits to the press room on the show site. Okay? Next, electronic media. You've got to be weaving in things like all the Web 2.0, social media, email, telephone. Hey, if you got phone numbers, you can get them, man. Put someone on the phone dialing for dollars. Voice broadcast is a way to send a message to many people and have it land. Stay away from fax unless you have an existing relationship. Direct mail. You know, a lot of people are just relying solely on email, and they're dropping direct mail. Well, guess what? The clutter in the mailbox is much less. Guess what that means? It's actually easier to get attention today through mail than it is through email. Why? Spam filters. Why? Too many emails. Take a look at your mailbox, man. You know what? My mail has dropped radically, and I tell you what, it's now more effective again. Why? There's less competition for the attention. It's letters, personal letters, invitations, high-quality looking invitations, postcards. Love postcards. Brochures. Court of last resort there. Number 5, personal contact. You got reps out in the field. Have them walk through doors. Deliver a show pass. Deliver your invitation in person. Have them pick up the phone and call people. Now, what you're trying to do in step 6 here is select a combination of media. Ideally, you'll have at least one touch in all 5 of these media. Now you're creating what we call an integrated marketing campaign. That's attacking on multiple fronts, multiple media. I see an ad in the trade pub. I get a postcard. I get an email. There's a phone call. I'm reading the publication. There's a story or a news release. You see how all this works together? See where we're going with all this? Okay. Now, you got a lot of new stuff that you can weave in, too. There's so much media that's exploding right now, and I'll just hit a few. Personalized postcards. I'll show you one in a moment. These things are cheap. You can do them for less than $1 a card, and you can do some really cool stuff. Personalized URL is a pearl, we call it. Creating a URL with the individual's name on it. Stuff is cheap to do. And I'll show you what that looks like in a HTML versus just text-based email. How about embedding audio and video links in your email? The ability to set up a YouTube channel, post a short video, put the link to it in your email. You can do the same with audio. Voice broadcast, I mentioned before. You know, for pennies, you could have a message drop into their voice mailbox. It sounds like a one-to-one message. Microsites, which is a web page or a site specifically for this product, service, this show, where you can do needs assessments, surveys, and set appointments through it. and I'll show you one of those in a moment. Then you got the whole social media thing. If you're on a Facebook page and you're working that, if you've got followers on Twitter and you want to build your followers, you got the YouTube, you got LinkedIn, you got all this stuff you can use. You got a lot of expertise. Maybe you're writing a blog. Maybe there are others writing blogs about your industry that you can get mentions in. So let's get creative here, and let's see what of these new media options we can weave into our campaign. Okay. Now I am going to have for a moment here. I just want to go very quickly. I'm going to have Lorna come back on and kind of give us a quick overview of some of the stuff that's available to you, because there's a lot of cool stuff available to you from NNA. Laura, you with me? Lorna?
Yes, Jefferson. Yeah, and thanks for all your helpful hints. I've been paying close attention, and I'm surprised by the few pointers that I've gotten already. So this is great. First of all, I want to remind everyone, Jefferson talked about doing prize drawings at your booth. Well, NAA, we have a form in your exhibitor service kit that when you submit that information to us that you're having a prize at your booth, we'll include that information in the program guide. So all the attendees will have a chance to see what's going on at your booth right before the conference and as they're walking the show. So we encourage everybody to submit that form, have that information included to guarantee traffic at your show. And then what we'll do is this year we're starting a new process of announcing the winners. We'll go to each exhibitor, give you a form to fill out. You'll bring it to the NAA booth, and all of the winners will be posted there so people can come by the NAA booth, know if they won at your booth, and visit you back up. So that's one of the tools that we have. Another one, in order for you to invite everybody to the show, even if people can't pay for full conference registration, if they're in the area this year, we're in Vegas, we have free expo passes that you can request to Heather Tuplet. She's our sales manager, and she processes all the booth for the show. And those are for your clients to come for free to the trade show only on the second session of the show on the Friday, the 24th of June. So that's another tool available for you. Other marketing tools that are available through NAA are Advertising in Units magazine. That's a monthly publication that's going to over 70,000 people. According to our research, it has readership of over 120,000 because it passes along to over 2.5 people per office. That publication also is online, so people get it 10 days prior to it being shipped to everybody, and it's on the website. Members and non-members can see that information. It's usually highlighted on our homepage, so more than 70,000 people are actually seeing this. We have special rates for pre-show and post-show editions, and our folks at the Townsend Group are more than helpful with those discounts and helping you throughout the year on your marketing plan. We also have ads in the program guide that features all the information for the conference. And for the second year, we have Map Your Show tools that we call My NAA. And we're really promoting to the attendees to go into that tool, organize their agenda, schedule appointment with exhibitors, plan what sessions they want to go to. And if you are an enhanced exhibitor, a featured exhibitor on the Map Your Show site, it's going to draw more attention to your booth online and more traffic, hopefully, to your booth on the floor. So those are some of the tools that we have, and we're more open to any suggestions that you all have, judging by your experience with other shows and what you've done, what you've seen successful. Just bring those to our attention, and we'll be more than happy to review all that information. Jefferson?
All right, thanks, Lorna. Hey, also there's sponsorship programs available through NNA, and so there's a bronze, silver, gold, platinum. So if you're interested in that, you can call Lorna. So as you can see, there's a combination of things available. What I want to do now is do two things with everyone listening. I've kind of put myself kind of into this show, and I've created two exhibiting scenarios. I want to show you what a integrated campaign looks like for a small exhibitor that's in an inline booth and then I'll show you what a campaign looks like for a medium to large exhibitor that might be on a peninsula or an island booth. Then finally, I'm going to give you an actual illustration of what an integrated campaign looks like. We'll hit measurement, and then we'll take questions, and I already saw there's some great questions in the queue, and then we'll begin to wrap this up. All right, so, okay, here you go. Now, follow this slide very carefully because a lot of thought has gone into this. Okay, I'm a small exhibitor. I'm in a 10 by 20 inline booth. My floor space rental cost is about $6,000 because I'm a member. If I'm not a member, it's going to be more than that. Okay, so let me explain that next line, show budget. The rule of thumb on budgeting for a trade show is floor space times 3 to 5. So you'll see what I've done here. I've taken the $6,000 on the low end and said my budget would be $18,000. On the other end, it would be $24,000. Now, sometimes when you're a big company and you're getting involved in sponsorships, the total budget will be a whole lot more than that. But it's a starting point, floor space times 3 to 5. So remember we said 15% to marketing earlier? So that's what we've done. We've pulled out, in this example, I would have $2,700 to $3,600 to invest in my marketing campaign. My goals, okay, as an exhibitor right now are I want visibility and awareness. Second, I want to generate leads that I can follow up and convert to sales. So what would a campaign look like for me, given this scenario, this budget range, these goals, this size? Here we go. My first thing, the CPS strategy that I mentioned earlier, I would be running that with my reps. Customer, prospect, suspect, 6 weeks prior, minimum of 4 contacts to drive the right people. Second, I would be getting the free pre-reg list, and then I would be mailing either a personalized type invitation or a postcard. Okay. Next, I'm definitely going to be using the My NNA, adding a logo to that. Remember we said earlier the attendees are they're more selective in their planning. They're using like the My NNA show to set their agenda, so it's a great place. So I put a logo, and in this budget range, I would even look at get a video, a flash video, 3 reasons why you should visit us at this show. Then in this budget range, I would be running a small print ad in the official show program guide. Tell you what, I've done about 36 actual trade show attendee panel discussions I've facilitated, and I ask them all the time, of all the stuff available, what's your go-to for managing the show? Man, the on-site program guide, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, is truly one of your best print options, because they not only use it to navigate the show, but they also use it after the show for about 1 year. It's got a 1-year shelf life they go back to. And then what I would do at post-show is I would be getting the post-show list, and I'd be drilling it down to my profile matches and mailing that. And all of that would be capable in this kind of a budget range. I'm telling you, if you did that, you would have a pre, at, and post-show visibility awareness campaign, help drive booth traffic, and generate leads. Okay? So let's go to my next example here. Let's say I'm a larger exhibitor. I'm in a 20 by 30 island. Because I'm a member, my space price is about $18,000. Remember our budgeting rule, floor space times 3 to 5. So I got $54,000 to $90,000 plus invested in this show. I'm earmarking at least 15% of marketing. So I've got about $81,000 to $13,500. Now I've got an additional goal here. I too want visibility, and I want lead generation and post-show sales, but I've got a new product to introduce. So what would this campaign look like for me? I'm going to run the CPS. I'm going to use the attendee list and mail it. I'm going to acquire a media list and send press releases. I'll be running pre- and post-show ads in Units Magazine. I'm going to be adding a logo, a video, and I'm going to pick up a banner on the My NNA. I'll have a large print ad in the on-site program guide. I'll be sponsoring a package that's relevant to me. And finally, I'll be acquiring and mailing and using the post-show attendee list. So this kind of shows you the thinking and how to kind of go about putting together an integrated campaign that uses print, online, mail, okay, and touches pre, at, and post. So that's the way you want to think about this, okay? Now, let me show you what a physical campaign looks like. Okay, here we go. Okay, this company is called Live Marketing, and they are an outstanding exhibitor. They get this game. So their print campaign would include advertisements in like Units Magazine and also the show directory. You can see that they're using really vivid colors, bring it to life and stretch the experience. The booth number, there's a call to action on there. So this is their print piece that would go again in trade pubs and the on-site show directory. Then they're going to, remember personalized mailers I talked to you about? Now look closely at this postcard. There's a lot going on here. In the left, Nancy is it in there. Nancy, looking for ways to stretch your budget? Now notice on the bottom on that panel too, learn more at nancydemelo.spendsmarter.com. That's a Pearl. That's a personalized URL. You'll notice on the mailing panel on the right side too that there's also her Pearl is on the mailing panel, the booth number, everything's clear. So we've got print, we've got mail. Now we go to email. Now remember we talked about a consistent message and a consistent design theme? You'll notice in here that they're carrying the branding through in this HTML masthead, stretch your event budget in 09, visit us at, and they've included the Pearl, the personalized URL in these emails. So they're doing 2 emails leading up to showtime with a click through to the Pearl. Check this out. When you click on the Pearl, it takes you to a microsite, okay, where you've got a landing page. You click enter. When you go inside of this site, it has a quick 5-question needs assessment survey. Within this site, you can click and decide to either set an appointment or at least making a commitment to come by. Then as soon as you leave the site, what happens is it prints out on your printer and it sends you an email saying, visit so-and-so, and there's a gift on here, your 1 gigabyte flash drive bracelet. Okay, so this is an example of how to use print, mail, email, and the internet, okay, to create an integrated campaign. Now, I tell you what, you might think this stuff's expensive. I, last year, ran a campaign exactly like this. I had a target of about 300 attendees within a show I was exhibiting at. I pulled this whole campaign together, print, email, mail, and the microsite, including Pearls, for about $4,000, okay? That is pretty cheap to put a world-class campaign on. So we just wanted to kind of show you this to kind of, kind of get your motor running and stir your imagination. Now, let me get to our measurement, take questions, and get you out. We're running a few minutes over. I apologize. If you have to go right now, if you have to, please do. Forgive me. The rest of this, we're going to have it on the site, and you'll get a survey after. All right, measurement and then questions, and we are out. Now, you don't do all this stuff just to do it. You do it to get results. So you're going to put together a simple report stating what media you used, when the media was deployed relative to showtime, the response rate to the traceable media, okay, the cost of each media, and the number of impressions or traceable responses. What worked? Of all this stuff, what worked? What did you learn from it? And what are you going to use at your next show? The real goal of creating a campaign like this is not one and done. The real goal is to build an integrated pre, at, and post-show marketing campaign that you can tweak, edit, and use for every show you do. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in our short time together. We've walked you through 8 specific steps. We've shown you the opportunities that are available from NAA. We've shown you what a campaign would look like for 2 sizes of exhibitors. We've shown you physically what a campaign would look like. We've given you a simple 7-point measurement. This is powerful stuff if you use it. Okay, so what I want to do at this point is go ahead and open this up for questions. And I see there are questions. And again, those of you that got to run, feel free. Those of you that can stay, we're going to get some tremendous value from our Q&A, and we'll try to get you out of here in just a few more minutes. All right, let me jump in the queue and start taking them. Okay, first question, any recommendations for best practices for promotions? Yeah, this whole webcast is walked through that. Second question, how long in advance of a show should we build the target visitor list? 6 to 8 weeks out. And then as far as the show list, you might not get that until 3 to 4 weeks prior to the show because attendees are registering later, but have your campaign ready to roll, okay? Some of us go, well, we don't get the attendee list until this date. Don't let that hold you up. Get your campaign ready so as soon as you get the list, you can deploy. Next question, how important are show giveaways? Well, I tell you what, if you're going to set a candy bowl or a popcorn machine or give bottled water out at your booth, useless. If you want to attract hungry, thirsty people, take that approach. If you use giveaways in a non-selective manner. That means just dangling them out to anybody that falls in your booth. You're going to attract people that want that. If you use your giveaways as part of a campaign targeting the right people, much better use of giveaways. Okay. Someone asked for examples of the half of something. Let's go. Send them a sunglass holder, a case. Pick up the sunglasses at the booth. Come see how. Send them a pen and pencil set with the pencil at the booth. The pen at the booth. Send them the pencil up front. Pencil us in for 5 minutes while you're at. Send them a iPod Nano. Send them the headset. Have the Nano at the booth. Come here how. Okay, you can see where we're going with that. The half of something can, and that stuff sounds expensive, but when you think about what a single customer is worth to you, it can make all the difference in the world. You want to stay in that $10 to $75 range top end, and then narrow your list down and really go after big game with it, okay? Next question. How do you get information on attendees to send out pre-show mailers? Well, first you start in-house with your lists, customer, all those things that I had on that slide, and then you go to the show organizer and you get the pre and the post-show and last year's attendee list, okay? Hope that helps. In our industry, clients tend not to commit to meeting with us because other vendors throw big parties. Well, we're talking about the exhibit floor here, not party time, okay? And here's the key to getting appointments with anybody: relevance and value. I would not try to compete for attendees' time when I know that the biggest person in the industry is throwing a show party. It's going to be hard to outspend them. So drive more quality traffic to your booth. So when I say setting these appointments, let's go for appointments at the booth. And I tell you what, you're not going to get appointments at the booth with everybody you target. In lieu of an appointment, what you want to go for is what I call a verbal commitment. So through your marketing, you're getting the person to say, yes, we're coming to the show. Yes, we want to see you. Not sure what day or time, but we'll definitely be by to see you. So in lieu of a confirmed appointment, I'm looking for verbal commitments. Okay, and I do not advise trying to go head-to-head with the big, the big well-funded exhibitors. Pick your targets, narrow your targets down to must-see visitors. Come to them with a really thoughtful campaign, a compelling business reason, a good reward for responding, and you will get your fair share. Next question. When do you start your mail and your email campaign? Well, here's the thing. The bigger the show, the farther out. But you want to really be in with your campaign in that 45 days down. So your first touch might go 45 days, your next might go 30, your next might be 15, and your third might be 5 to 10 days prior. And some of us even, it's a good idea to have an at-show touch. For example, if you can collect email addresses during your pre-show campaign, send a reminder email during the show. Very few people do that. Okay, so I know I tore through that fast. We're running over time, and I want to get you off of here. I don't see any more questions. I want to thank everybody for taking time to log in here today. We are just getting started with this. The next webinar is going to rock. The Exhibitor ROI and Solution Center is loaded with additional content. If anybody needs help, wants to talk to me, has questions one-on-one, here's my number. And with that, I will turn it back to Lorna and Heather for closing comments from NAA.
Thanks, Jefferson. Again, thank you, everybody, for joining us. And, Jefferson, thanks for your time. This has been great, and I think a lot of people are going to leave with very useful information. And if everybody leaves with at least one new piece of information, it's been a successful, hour of our time. So thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you again. And please, everyone, just take advantage of that ROI Center. It's for everybody's benefit.
This concludes today's webcast.